with linear inequalities. Somebody remind me what linear means. Just line. Okay, it doesn't have anything to do with being straight. It has to do with line. And if you look at the word, it's got the word line in it. Okay, linear inequalities are inequalities within a line. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is whether or not, how we can tell whether or not a point is a solution. Okay, which we've done before. Okay, points are written as what comma what? X comma y. Okay, so what am I putting in for x? 5. What am I putting in for y? 2. And we're going to be able to tell whether or not something is a solution. So 2 times, what is my x? 5. Duly do these with us. Minus 3 times, what is my y? 2 is less than 24. So what is my 2 times my 5? 10 minus my 3 times my 2? What do I get? So it's asking, is 4 less than 24? Yes. So in this case, we would say yes, it is a solution. Yes, sir. Yep. Okay, so now we're checking, is negative 2, 3 a solution? Okay, so my x is my negative 2. My y is my... So what am I plugging in for y right here? So we're checking, is 3 greater than, what's x? Negative 2 plus 9 is 3 greater than 7. Is 3 greater than 7? So this one would be a no. So far, so good. Yep. Some of us aren't writing, though, and I'm not really sure why. Oh, I grabbed the wrong one for you, Mike. I'm sorry. Okay, so this one, we've got 2 times, what's my x? Negative 2 is less than, what's my y? Minus 4. So what's my 2 times my negative 2? Negative 4 is less than negative 1. Is that true or false? That's true. Negative 4 is less than negative 1. So is this a solution? Yes. Okay, so far so good, right? Okay, now we have x is greater than 4. Do I have even a y in this equation? So do I have to worry about my y in that point? No, I'm just worrying about my x. So what am I plugging in for x? Is negative 2 greater than negative 4? Yes. Yep, yes. So in that case, we would write yes. Okay, not so bad, right? All right. So now we're going to get into graphing lines a little bit. Okay, let's review how we graph lines. With this equation, what is my starting point? Negative 2. So we start at negative 2. Yep. Since this is my slope, this tells me the top is always, do I go up or down? And then this tells me to go over. So I'm going up 2, over 3, up 2, over 3. I've got my line. That was mine was pretty good. Okay, over here, what's my starting point? 3. And now, since my slope is a negative 4, that tells me to go down 4 and then over 1 when there isn't anything underneath it. So down 4, over 1, connect my dots. Okay, always make sure that you're drawing your line through those. Okay, all right, this guy. Y equals 2. When there's not an x or not both an x and a y, you know that your line is going to be either Horizontal or vertical. In this case, y is horizontal. So we find where y is 2, and we draw what kind of a line? No. Horizontal. Okay. In number 4, what's my starting point? -4. And according to my slope, what do I have to do? Good job. See, we're getting pretty darn good at these. And then we've got, ooh, that was a bad one. Dang it. I know. Brutal. All right. So now I want you to flip to, I think it's the, where it says x is greater than 2. It's the back side. Okay, now, when I had a number line, and I said x was greater than 2, and I wanted to graph it on a number line like this, was it an open circle or a closed circle? It was an open circle. Okay, so when we do this, okay, so if it's greater than or less than, and before we had an open circle, when we make a line, we're going to make a dashed line. Okay, so I'm going to find where x is 2. Okay, is this going to be horizontal or vertical? This is going to be vertical, and it's going to be what kind of a line? A dashed line. So when I say a dashed line, I mean that it's dashes instead of a solid line like that. I kind of do. I think they're fun. Okay, now what we're going to do to signify where it's greater than 2. Okay, so you got to ask yourself, where are my numbers greater than 2? On the right side of this line or on the left side of this line? On the right side of this line are where my numbers are bigger. Okay, so the numbers that are greater than 2 would be like 4 and 6. Those are greater than 2, right? So I want to shade from the line that I just made on the right side of it, because those are the numbers that are greater than 2. No. Well, you shade from the line. Yeah, you're right. I know what you mean. Okay, if it's just greater than or less than, it's going to be dashes. Okay, if it's greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, that's when we use a solid line. Okay, so if you flip to this guy, y is less than -4. Okay, we need a point at -4. What kind of a line is this going to be? This is going to be dashed. Mike, why are you using your calculator? Nothing that we're doing right now has anything to do with a calculator. Okay, so what kind of a line is this? It's a horizontal line. Is it going to be dashed or solid? So a dashed line. No, not necessarily. No, just make a dashed line. Okay, now you have to ask yourself, so it's y is less than -4. So where are the numbers that are less than -4? Below it or above it? So you're going to shade everything below that line that you just made. What do you mean? This will be on the test because this is what we're doing. This isn't review. We haven't done this before. Okay, so what if I have x minus 2 is less than or equal to -5? Well, first we gotta get some, Yeah, we got to get x by itself, right? So Christian's right. We've got a plus 2 and plus 2, so we get x is less than or equal to negative 3. We should be writing this down wherever you have some extra space. No, because we're going to go back to those. Okay? Now, so we got to find x is negative 3. What kind of a line is it going to be? Which is vertical. Okay, so it's a vertical line. Is it going to be dashed or solid? It's going to be a solid line. So we can just draw a solid line. Now we have to ask ourselves, which numbers are less than negative 3, on the left or on the right? On the left. So from that line, we're shading to the left. You won't have one with vertical and horizontal. That's a fraction. All right, this guy. Divide by negative 3. That's what's hooked on. Now, you guys think back a little bit. What happens when we divide a negative? You have to flip the sign. So y is greater than 2. So we find where y is 2. Horizontal or vertical? It's going to be horizontal. Dashed or solid? Dashed. Okay, now where are my numbers greater than 2? Above it or below it? Above it are going to be my numbers that are greater than 2. One more and then I'll let you work. First step. Subtract 4. So I have 2x 2. Divide by 2. Greater than or equal to 1. So we go where x is 1. What kind of a line? Vertical line, dashed or solid? Solid. And then where are my numbers greater than 1? On the left or on the right? On the right. No, because this time it was x. So it depends on what letter we use. So this time it was y was greater than 2 on this problem, but this problem we used an x, not a y. Okay. No, remember that it's opposite your axis. Okay?